today started off beautifully because I had a doctor's appointment early in the morning, and ordinarily I kind of dread this. So like I switched medications recently for ADHD from Adderall to Astaris, and Adderall just makes my sleep terrible. And the beautiful thing is, like Astaris, I can actually sleep on it, and I still get a lot of the benefits of it. But I thought it was going to be a big hassle. If you listen to Distractable, you remember like a year ago I had this big spiel about CVS and trying to fill out a prescription. Today it went lovely. I was ready for a fight. I was ready to talk with insurance. I was ready to like go throw down with a pharmacy. No, it went completely smooth. My insurance covered it fully, and I was able to get it same day. It was a wonderful experience. So I really am. I'm tickled about that. Usually in those things, especially when it comes down to prescriptions these days, it is a very difficult thing to do. But yeah, it seems like the supply issue has been smoothed out and everything is just wonderful. It is a thing where it's just like, I haven't been taking enough care of myself. Not in terms of like, oh, I need to take a break. In terms of like literally with like ADHD and taking my therapy seriously. I often give a lot of advice when people ask me about like, how do I manage ADHD? And then I'll give advice, but I won't execute upon it myself, even though I know that it would help incredibly. For some reason, I don't really do that. But I am getting better about it. There was great being on set because it's such a strict schedule. You go and you film and you go home, and it's like 12-hour days. It's very long. But it's better now. Now that I'm back, I can get on a consistent routine with medication and meditation and like exercise and eating properly and all these things and mental exercises and focus exercises. There's a lot of things that I want to do. And I do want to make that video, again, with everything. I want to make that video where I talk about my experience with ADHD at length. But it's just like, it's a part of my life. And so it's hard to contextualize into a speech or a video or anything like that. But at the same time, there was that clip on Distractable that went viral of me talking about my experience with ADHD. And I'm like, that's cool. But also it's like, man, I don't even know really what I was saying at the time. So I don't know if it was good advice or if it was good information. Because the last thing I want to do is put out wild conjecture out there that puts out this like, I don't know, false information about what ADHD is and one of the realities of it. The reality of it is like, it's tough and it's hard to deal with sometimes. But certain things you can do, like meditating in the morning, eating right in the morning, not introducing these kind of like apps on your phones or scrolling TikTok first thing in the morning, can actually change how you perceive the day. In addition to medication, like I take medication, I take Astaris, and it's like, it's something that does help me out, and I've taken many medications. I'm not saying medication is a perfect solution, but it does help a lot. And it's just like various things that come into my life, and especially when I get done with a big project and the routine is not there anymore, that's when things can kind of fall apart. And I'm just like, I do fall back into routines very easily. But I've gotten better at cleaning and just like, I want to get better into the routine of content creation again. Yeah, it's got day by day thing, and it's compounding. So it's the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. But for ADHD, sometimes it's like you have to put in more and you get out less. That's what it feels like sometimes anyway, but I'm managing. I don't mean to bitch about, that's not what I meant to talk about. I meant to just like relax and chat about some things. But I am good. I think my partner has ADHD, but he doesn't want to be tested. What can I do to help him? There's nothing wrong with testing. I mean, so long as it's a professional environment, there's nothing to lose and everything to gain. But I guess there is a stigma about it. If you don't get diagnosed, then you don't have to acknowledge a problem, and I get that. But at a certain point, it's got to be a decision by them. Yeah, I sometimes encourage people to do it, but I also encourage people to get tested professionally and not just take like an online quiz or something like that. I would go to an actual doctor and psychiatrist and get a professional to evaluate, because it is something that needs a professional opinion. And if you don't like the professional opinion, you can get a second opinion. But at the same time, that's how you know. It's not really something you can self-diagnose. You can guess, but you need to get, especially if you want a treatment plan, if you actually want to do something about it. Yeah. Any tips to help me stay calm with ADHD? That's a practice thing. The hyperactivity is not really something that like I experience a lot of. Hyperactivity comes in a lot of different ways. to stay calm, unless you're talking about it from an anxiety perspective. And then that could, I don't know if you take medication. I don't know if you do this. Certain medications can make you anxious. That's what Adderall did for me for sure. Back when I was on it, it's like it definitely ramps up the anxiety a lot. So certain medications, you just got to talk to your doctor about it. I'm not a doctor. Yeah. Any tips to eat in the morning? I never do. It just depends. Again, that could be a medication thing. Some of them do suppress your appetite. I'm not sure because I just don't know your situation, and so I can't really give any definitive answer about that. I'm not an authority on ADHD, that's for sure. Could you notice your ADHD as a kid, or did it become more noticeable as you get older? I mean, how can a kid even notice it, you know? A kid has no basis to evaluate or compare their life experience to. They don't even have the words to contextualize to explain their life situation. So as a kid, if a kid is realizing that they have ADHD, I'm not sure, because it's like when I was a child, life was very simple, and life amounted, it had extreme, in terms of emotional things, but it's responsibilities weren't exactly there. However, if I were to look back and retrospectively, I might be able to. But as a kid, I would have no idea. When I was a teenager, yeah, I did think I had it, but my dad was not having that. Yeah. Any tips or tricks to help build routines when you're super forgetful? It's practice. That's it. Think of it like any skill. If you want to have the goal of being I'm always on top of everything I've got. I'm so organized. I got dishes. I got workouts. I got all my things in my life perfectly in order. That's juggling in a way. And imagine if you just picked up 6 juggling balls and we're I'm going to do this. You would never be able to do it on your first try. So why are you holding yourself to that kind of level of accountability of being super organized when you've never even practiced it? You have to practice it, and you have to take baby steps, and it takes a long time to progress, and it's practice. It's a skill. It doesn't come naturally, which means just because something doesn't come naturally doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you have to work a little harder at it. You can get there. It just takes more work and takes more practice. That's how I look at it. And that has helped in a lot of different places. I've gotten better at certain things. I'm still bad at others because I don't put in much time of practice into it, but I am getting better. Yeah. I have ADHD, and I've been on medication for around 13 years, which has made me think I am not myself. Do you experience the same thing? How do you deal with it? Yeah, no, I recently went through this exact thing. I've been on medication for maybe 11 years now, and for the vast majority of that, it has been Adderall, and it is a thing where you start to question who you really are, because you start to second guess whether or not it's you that's doing the things that you're doing, or if it's the medication that's making you do the things that you're doing. And the reality of it is, of course, it's you, but there's no denying that sometimes the medication can help, which is why I like the medication that I'm on now. I changed it, and I got off of that one because it had so many side effects. Sleep being first and foremost, but also just that question of am I who I think I am? And with this new one that I'm on, it makes me feel more like myself. It feels more like I feel about myself when I'm not on medication, but without the complete inability to focus and do anything. But again, yeah, it's not just about medication. I am a different person than I was when I started, and that's because through learning about myself, I've been able to explore more than I ever thought I could. And getting that practice in, it's like earned hours. You earned that. You did that. And when you come out of it, it's not like it just vanishes. And who you are isn't just the medication. But I get it. There's no denying it can have questions like that. So that's why it's so important to constantly stay in a cycle of paying attention to yourself and doing the therapies besides just relying on medication to get you to where you want to be, because it's not a magic bullet. It's not going to do that. It's all little pieces that help build you up to who you really are. So that's what I think anyway. Yep. What type of ADHD do I have, and what is it like? I don't know. I don't know if there's different types. All I know is that's what I got, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Anyway, there's so many questions, and it's I can't really answer all of them. Because again, I'm not an authority on it. I can only speak to my experiences with it. And sometimes the information that I would give would not be perfect for you. It would just be how I feel about it and what I think about it. So that's it. You can't just rely on my answers and take them as gospel. It's not exactly